So next up, we have Apple in the news. Apple loves to be in the news.
Pretty classic.
Mostly, yeah. I feel like Apple is the most love-hate relationship that we at least see in the tech world. I feel like.
Oh yeah, they're one of the most loved companies in the world because of the iPhone, and they're also one of the biggest punching bags of the media for all kinds of stuff.
For sure, for tons of reasons. Tech people, I'm sure a lot of people. We have a lot of Android fans.
Oh, there's plenty of legitimate reasons.
There are plenty of
Apple.
legitimate, and there are a lot of non-legitimate reasons. So either way, battery issues, everyone's favorite.
I heard about this.
Yeah, a couple of them. Which is interesting. Imagine having two different battery issues in the news within the same couple weeks.
It's kind of funny that Apple, I mean, yes, you can be in the news for battery issues, but I feel like nothing will ever quite live up to Samsung's exploding phones. Like I'm carrying a Note 10 right now, and I still think about it every once in a while. Like, this is a company who made phones that exploded because of the battery.
That's very true. Yeah, looking at any of this, if you see
it's all mild, right?
Battery stuff in the news, it will almost never compare to the Note 7 fiasco.
So what did they actually do?
So right now we see a lot of controversy over Apple adding, I believe it's a software feature. If you replace your iPhone battery with a non-first party battery, you're going to lose out on your battery health section of your settings, pretty much.
And that's a non-Apple battery or a non-Apple certified replacement service.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be like that no matter what, because I'm 99% sure that if you're a non-authorized seller, you cannot buy first party.
Right.
Which is, I think, actually more of the big news story here, or why this is bringing up, because there are a lot of people who are really upset with stuff like that. We see right to repair all over the place. Apple seems to be the main target of a lot of that. Aside from that, so if you go to a third party repair shop or do something yourself, you have, we all know iFixit at this point. They offer a lot of tools to be able to get into all of your technology pretty easily.
They'll sell you a kit to get right inside the iPhone.
Yeah, and I've actually, while reading this, it seems like a fairly easy process. I mean, it's not old easy where you just pop the back off your
not
plastic
as easy
phone
as it used to be, but you still have to heat up the glue and pry it open, but you can get inside the iPhone.
Yeah, and because of all the resources we have on YouTube and stuff like that, it's pretty easy to figure it out. Yep, Zach. iFixit. Have you ever heard of Louis Rossmann?
Yes.
He's super interesting. I could listen to him rant for
he's got a hard stance on this, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I watched a couple things because of this, so I would highly suggest going to watch him. He's very, very opinionated. My problem with this one is I don't think this is as bad as everyone's making it out to be.
Okay, here's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I understand right to repair, right? This is one of those issues where you try to see both sides of it, right? So if you're Apple and someone's trying to get into the iPhone and replace the storage, you're like, Apple, you're like, oh, our products are so flawless, they'll do it wrong, they have to be certified, and if they aren't certified, it won't work, we won't sell them the parts, so they can't do it. Like, you're trying to protect your thing. But on the other hand, like, you're gluing it down to the board, you're like doing all these things to like actively prevent people from repairing it, which is not a good look. But when it comes to batteries, specifically, like, if you mess up a battery, it could explode. Like, it could hurt you. So when you talk about giving people the right to replace their battery, on one hand, you want to be able to go in and look, your iPhone battery health isn't so good, but you heard about a new battery being able to speed up the iPhone and things going well, so you want to do it yourself, yes. But if you mess up a battery installation, like, that's like a risk you'd never be willing to take, like the things that could go wrong. Like, if you think about reading the side effects of a medication, like if one of the side effects of the medication is possibly exploding in your pocket, you probably think twice about taking that in the first place. So I fully, in this case, understand Apple's position of do not let people who aren't certified and trained by us replace the battery. Yeah. It's dangerous and it's a bad idea. And if we do it right, we'll give them all the features, everything will go great, and you'll have your new battery and it'll all work out. It still seems kind of like, who even uses the battery health section of
that's the main thing. I feel like it's not that big of a deal if you put a third-party battery in, it's still going to work completely fine.
Yeah, it's still going to work. The phone, and that's actually probably more than it should. Like, Apple, I could see them in another universe going, look, if you even take apart the iPhone and replace the battery and it's not done by us, it won't even turn on because it's too dangerous, because you replace the battery and that could go horribly. The fact that it turns on and works and they just take this one little thing out the section, whatever. I guess that's kind of a bummer for headlines to write about it, but batteries are tough, man.
Yeah, so Louis Rossmann talking about this. His main thing was that third-party batteries, while not being able to pretty much, maybe they're not made quite as well. Mm-hmm. Yes, you might not get the best performance out of it, might not get the best life out of it. He doesn't believe that third-party batteries are necessarily that much more dangerous than first-party batteries. Lithium ion's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
In his mind, I mean, this is him. He knows more than I do, but he seems to think that first-party batteries are equally as dangerous as third-party batteries, and that it's just more of a performance that you're risking at this part. Apple's personal stance is exactly what you just said. We don't want, I mean, and I also kind of understand from Apple, not so much, I mean, yes, they're worried about safety of their customers, but the main thing they don't want is Apple iPhone blows up in airport,
exactly.
blah, blah, blah. Their new name plastered all over the headlines. No one will, people might do the research, but if people find out it's a third-party battery, that is not going to be in the title of the
we've
headline.
seen how badly
it's
this
all
can
the way
go.
at the bottom. Yeah.
Certain companies are punching bags, and they know they're going to be, and like if any Tesla ever gets into a crash, what's the headline say? Tesla got into a crash. Mm-hmm. Even if nothing to do with the Tesla, right? If an iPhone explodes, no matter what happened, it's going to be in the title. iPhone exploded, right? And people are just going to read that and assume whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I get where Apple's coming from. Oh, and we've also seen how poorly it can go when batteries go wrong, and that becomes PR for your company. Like Samsung knows. Ask Samsung about how they wish they handled batteries in the last couple of years.
I mean, they've been playing it safe since then.
Another thing I don't really know, maybe someone can tweet at us or inform me about this, but I don't think Apple is making the batteries. I don't think Samsung is making the batteries. They're sourcing the batteries, and they're buying what they believe to be high-quality batteries to use in their products. So it's, they've chosen these high-quality batteries, and if they don't necessarily believe a different one is high quality, they don't want you to install those because it might not be as good. But I guess to Louis Rossmann's point, Samsung picked what they thought was a high quality battery, and it had major problems. So
I think that one might have actually been a design flaw, right? Wasn't it?
That was a design flaw.
Yeah, it was the actual case of the phone enclosing the battery was pinching something.
Yeah,
and
pinched in the
battery.
corner. Yeah. So there's all kinds of variables with batteries. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle on the fence. It
was crazy to me. I'm trying to find some things for the podcast. I come up Apple battery news. Like there's something we're going to talk about in a minute also that still has to do with Apple batteries. But I go in reading the comments being like, this will be easy. I can see what people think. I've never seen something so polarizing. Like this is just putting third-party batteries in and taking away a setting you probably never look at. Maybe once or twice in your phone's life.
Outrage?
Outrage in both. I can't believe you're sticking up for Apple like this. Well, why would Apple ever want to let something like this happen? And just constant fighting. The Reddit threads were fascinating. I enjoyed reading it because I've never gone back and forth on a topic so much. I'm at the point where I don't know where I stand on this.
Yeah.
So I would highly suggest go reading some. Our Apple has a bunch of threads on this. Louis Rossmann has a video on it. We can link it in the show description. It's cool listening to everything.
I think it's one of those issues that at the end of the day, it's not going to change where you fall on the spectrum of how much of a fan you are, because it's not that big of a, like similar to with Tesla. So if I use myself as an example, if I'm a fan of Tesla and I've been driving an electric car with no battery problems and a bunch of articles come out about, hey, Teslas are exploding in parking lots. They're just exploding. Like people just saying like, or writing all these articles about how a Tesla crashed and there was a fire, and we just ignore all the thousands of gas car fires. It's not a big enough of a deal to where I'm actually going to change my stance on, oh, you know what? Maybe this is kind of dangerous. Maybe I don't like Tesla anymore. Like people who are hardcore Apple fans will see this and probably stay hardcore Apple fans.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all this over-exaggeration. It's just one setting. No one uses it. It makes sense for them to protect them. Batteries are dangerous. Or if you're a hardcore Apple hater, it's not going to change your stance. It's not that big of a difference. Look, Apple's doing another thing that's dangerous bad for the user. They're taking away more stuff, right to repair, blah, blah, blah. So it's not really swaying me in either direction.
Yeah, I actually think it'd be super interesting to bring someone who's, it sounds weird saying someone who's pro right to repair. Like I think most of us, we're all tech heads. We like repairing things ourselves.
Yeah.
But someone who's really, Zach would be great. The people at iFixit would be great.
We gotta get Zach.
We'll definitely get Zach in here.
Yeah,
for sure.
On the podcast, 100%. If you're listening, Zach or Louis or anyone who wants to be on this podcast who can talk about this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
we're down.
Enlighten us. We've already talked about two subjects today that we are
not experts
just grazing the surface of. So
look,
we're
I'm an expert on nuking planets. Okay. FYI,
it's your side job.
That's exactly what I do on my spare time. One other little Apple thing with batteries.
Another thing we saw with Apple is some MacBook battery recalls, which we're kind of getting what I think a lot of people are calling the Note 7 treatment, where it's being banned from flights.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, this is a little shorter. First of all, the FAA just has a rule where if a battery gets recalled, it has to be put on the no-fly list.
Oh, yeah. That's a good rule.
It has to do that, but it makes headlines so much juicier when you say, blah, 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 banned from flights.
Okay, this is one of those things where, like, was there any, like, event where, like, a battery exploded, or are they just pre-active? Like,
so yes, there actually was it was a Reddit thread actually,
where one person's battery exploded.
There's a MacBook 15. It's only 15 inches, and it's one sold between 2015 2017. So by the way, if you have one of those, believe you can get a free battery replacement through Apple.
FYI.
But there was a thread on Reddit where it's pretty bad. The guy's got it on his deck, like outside behind his house,
and
you
it's just
me
that video.
Billowing smoke,
pouring smoke.
And there's like big black burn marks on the bottom.
Okay,
of it.
All right. So here's how this is going to go. Right.
Yep.
1 or 2 people have a problem with the battery. Definitely a problem. Right. Apple, to try to be safe about it, goes, you know what? All right, that's enough problems for us to decide. Let's recall the battery. If anyone has this laptop, this particular 15-inch MacBook Pro, bring it in. We'll replace the battery probably for free, right? If it's a defect,
I believe so. Yeah,
they should replace it for free. So they do the recall. Press gets their hands on information that Apple is recalling batteries after an explosion, and they get their hands on the little juicy bit that the FAA bans all products with recalled batteries, which means they can make a headline saying that 15-inch MacBook Pros are banned on planes, which is hilarious, and that's probably already a headline, and you can probably find it.
You're even being too specific in the headline. I'm sure it's Apple computers banned from flights. Oh my God.
It's really nowhere near the Note 7 when you think about it. Like, yes, it's going to happen. They're going to recall it. They're going to do their best to fix it. But the Note 7 was so bad. It was such a specific, like, if you have a Samsung Galaxy Note 7, you cannot fly on this plane. You can't be in the airport. You can't be anywhere near this plane. It was horrible press for Samsung.
I remember shipping some phones out we sold like a year ago.
Oh, you can't ship this phone?
He was like, yeah. He saw that it was a Samsung box. He's like, oh, my UPS, like the UPS software said, he wrote Samsung phone and it said like check to make sure it's not a Note 7.
Yeah. People just boil it down because they read Samsung Galaxy Note 7 and then they just forget all the other things and they see Samsung phone and they're like, look, Samsung phones are exploding. Yeah, that was pretty bad for them. I'm sure Apple will find a way to quiet this one down.
It's not that bad. I think the main things to take out of this are that, first of all, I highly doubt any TSA agent is going to look up the serial number to see if you have a 15-inch MacBook Pro from a two-date, 2-year span. Yeah, way too specific. But then on top of that, I also wouldn't doubt if you're traveling, pull your laptop out, and someone from TSA is like, "Oh, that's a MacBook. They all look exactly the same. Like, are you sure you're allowed to have that?" And then you're going to have to explain it. So if you're flying with a MacBook, get ready to explain to a TSA agent.
It might happen.
It's fine. There's probably a good chance that happen. And then just the other thing I find kind of funny is what we talked about right before this was Apple not trusting third-party batteries. And then very closely in date, they come out with recalling their own first-party batteries due to explosions. So,
batteries are tough, man.
Yep, take what you want with it.
Batteries
I thought it was
tough.
kind of funny. I know it's not just Apple. Everyone has issues with stuff like this.